Hey guys, so one of the most common questions I get is it possible to make a living as a full-time artist? And the quick answer is yes, it is. I've been a full-time artist for the last 5 years. My entire income comes from the sale of my paintings. There's a lot of great things about being full-time. And there's also some challenges too. So let's get right into it. Obviously the good things are you get to do what you love every day. You have a lot of freedom. There's nobody telling you what to do. You wake up whenever you want, it's like I can go out and paint at the coast, or I go to the city, whatever. If I want to take a break and go hang out with a friend or whatever, I got that possibility or that freedom. But there are definitely challenges too. You're not so much in control of your income. It's not predictable. So for example, you could put together a great body of work, have a show, and for whatever reason, because of the economy or reasons that are just completely unknown, the show doesn't sell well. Good paintings are like money in the bank. You'll sell them eventually, but that might not be so helpful when you've got your mortgage or your rent or food to buy, whatever. So that can be very stressful. So the fact that it's kind of unpredictable income is one of the challenges. And I'll be honest with you, that's been the most stressful thing about it. The other thing is you've got to sell a tremendous amount of work actually to make a living. You could do the math on it. Go to a gallery, look at some paintings, cut the price in half because galleries take 50%, and then do the math and say, okay, well I want to make $45,000 a year or $50,000 a year, whatever it is you want. Do the math on that, and that'll give you a little reality on how many paintings you're going to have to do to make a living. I didn't even think about that stuff. Maybe there was a part of me that didn't want to think about it. I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and fortunately it's worked out. But I've lived kind of show to show, and at a certain point you may feel like, well, how long can I do this, or is this really what I want to do, be living show to show? And the amount of work you have to continually produce to do that can be exhausting. So, and then also too, here you are creating a ton of work and you may be flooding the market. I heard somebody say, like, these big galleries in New York, one of the first things they say to people, to their artists or whatever, is like, you're producing too much work. Or you're bringing too much work to the gallery. I guess you can produce as much as you want, but if you're bringing too much work to the marketplace, then the value of your work could go down. So that's one of the problems. It's like this balance. Okay, I need to produce a ton of work to make a living, but yet if I flood the market with a bunch of work, then my prices go down. Does that make sense? So that's kind of a little bit of a problem there. So so that's something worth considering. And now if you do large work, that can be helpful. If you can do large work fairly quickly and you can actually sell it for good amounts of money, that's a way to go. If you're trying to sell small paintings, you got to sell a lot of them. You could sell them online. There are ways to do it. I'm just saying some of the challenges are, do the math on it. You've got to sell a lot of work if it's going to be your entire income. And if you're young, I have a house, I bought a house like when I was in my 1999. If I didn't own a home, I don't know that I would have been able to go full-time for the last 5 years because, and I know some of my audience is young, but you have a mortgage and that's set. It's not like my rent's going to go up. I have a fixed amount that I pay every month. And it's reasonable because I, got the house a long time ago, but it's just, there's a lot of financial stress involved in depending on the sale of your paintings completely. Now, if you have somebody else you live with, like a girlfriend, boyfriend, or husband, wife, whatever, that can really help. Or if you have, like, say, a part-time job that you like, maybe teaching, or maybe whatever it is, something that is not, that doesn't like completely take over your life, that could be good. In fact, in some ways, I think that would be the ideal situation. Have some kind of part-time job that you really enjoy, that's fulfilling. Also could be social. That could be a good thing, like, because being a painter or an artist is a very solitary thing. that's something that a lot of times you're not used to when you first make that transition. You're like, wow, you know, for me, I was a carpenter and electrician and whatever. You know, I'm on job sites 3 days a week, and then I had the rest of the week by myself to paint and stuff. But it was difficult because at first, you know, you spend a lot of time by yourself, and until you build a network of friends, maybe friends who are painters or whatever, it can be lonely for a while. So that's something to keep in mind. So like I said, the ideal situation could be some kind of part-time job that's not too demanding, you know, mentally, not a job you take home with you, but, you know, definitely provides a little bit of a buffer against the fluctuations in the sale of your artwork. So those are a few things that I think are challenging. The other thing too is I think that when you do start selling in galleries and everything, you're going to notice certain paintings are going to sell more than others, and there's this tendency to start, you know, out of necessity, to start painting certain things. And you might build a reputation for like doing still lifes or you know, or whatever. And I've noticed this with a lot of painters. They become very, very narrow and not very exploratory in their work, and just because they stumble onto one thing that really works, and then they just do it over and over and over again. But you got to think about it, like, how long will that last before that becomes passé? And then you're just like a one-trick pony kind of thing. That's it, you're done, you know? So anyway, so there are a lot of challenges for sure. So for me, what I'm trying to think of is other ways to make money as a creative person. You know, whether it's like YouTube can bring in a little bit of money, and I could do, you know, painting, and who knows, maybe I'll teach a little bit, that could be fun, or whatever, you know, just kind of having multiple income streams so that I'm not depending on just the sale of paintings. Like I said, it's worked for 5 years, but there's always this thing in my head thinking, what if what if it doesn't work? Like, what if one show doesn't sell well? What if the economy tanks? And then it's just a little precarious to be living that way. So I'm just kind of like brainstorming ideas on how I can diversify my income. So I think as a creative person, you have to be just as creative about how you make your living and how you make your income as you do you know, with your art itself. And so those are some ideas to think about. Certainly it's just my experience. I also do know a lot of artists, and most of them I do not know. I know maybe a couple that work full-time, and I actually don't know any that are just, you know, that have like a single income household. The people that I know working full-time at it, where they don't teach, they don't do anything else, they also have like either a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend or something where there's a dual income, and that's really helpful, and they have, you know, a supportive other person in their life. If you've got that, that's great, but like in my case, I don't. And you know, maybe, you know, if you're in that situation too, then, you know, it's kind of challenging. So yeah, those are some ideas there to think about. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I'm sure I'll be talking about this more in the future. I just wanted to kind of touch base on that. So yeah, the sum up is it's possible, but there are challenges, and, you know, you could do it, but you got to be realistic about it. And you might think, well, I could do it, but would it make me happy, or is there another way I can approach this that would be better for me? And I think that's the thing about this, is you really got to look at it and say, what would work for me? Like, what do I imagine what you want your life to be like, and then, you know, just sort of figure out how to make that happen. Because there are no rules when it comes to living a creative life. You can make it anything you want. So anyway, hopefully I didn't leave anything out. Hopefully this answers the question. Hopefully you found this enjoyable. And yeah, so also too, people have asked if I do a Q&A. So if you got some questions you want me to answer, put them in the comments below, and maybe I'll make a video answering some questions in the future. But other than that, thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you in the next video.